get some big moments in Div 1, but like Div 2 is because these guys have so much to play for and very little to lose. So they always will play completely as flat out as possible is probably the best way to describe it. They, you know, they just go into every fight, into every kind of like decision is made with how can we get ahead? Fight. And that's typically how these games go out. Now, we are into picks and bans for our first game of the day. Munster are starting up on the blue side, AaB on that red side. We're seeing the Vhagar band coming through. We did actually see Vhagar yesterday. Genuinely an amazing pick into champions like Zeri. Just because she's so short range and you completely zone short range comps out with that cage. It's just oppressive to play into like dragon fights when a cage cuts off the majority of the river. And suddenly your Zeri can be pinned and she can't actually do anything. So I'm seeing a lot of bans towards champions that actually handle champions like that Zeri. I'd be surprised to see if it gets left open for a first pick here. Jinx and Fresh taken away by AaB. Remember, we're on 12.3, so the Corki changes are in as well. So his package is a little desynced from what we're used to.
And rightly so. That champion was morphing and warping the metagame at the moment in time. So it's good to see. We'll have to see how Victor fares over these next few patches as well, as he's also a very defining person at the moment. Completely agree with you, by the way, on those Zero's points. A champion that I'm always calling out, if you think this champion's going to get picked, you have to ban Camille or play Camille. If Zeri gets picked, it's another one of those zoning kind of scenarios where you can just get on top of her and put her in an awkward spot where she wants to be zip-zooming around all over the place. Camille's great at doing that. Or you play other terrain-based champions like Talia. I wouldn't play Talia at the moment, by the way, people, but that sort of thing. Anivia, which is actually slightly meta at the moment. You can play Anivia into certain matchups, so we'll have to wait and see as we get around that. Corki was banned out, even though those nerfs did come through in this patch. Still just oppressive as anything, and Zeri picks it up, and oh my god, Danny, Mei Sangachu, multiple players all around the world are playing this champion, having hype reel moments. Mirbs, are you going to be joining them? Are you going to be getting your pentakill moment? Are you ready for that, Hiprain?
I mean, what I like about the Zeri as well is this is the Triforce Zeri. This isn't the one where they changed that, so it's Triforce, Titanic Hydra Zeri, spikes very hard on those two items. I am surprised that Munster were able to get this as their first pick. The Corki, yes, it's still strong, and the package desync definitely was a bit of a kind of like a nerf to Corki.
And it's one of their top picks as well.
A package for dragons, but I would rather let the Corki through right now in his current state over the Zeri. They're finding ways to handle that. They've picked up the Leona. This is obviously some hard CC. She struggles as she gets hard CC'd. Curious to see what their next pickup is. I don't think they need to go for an AD carry. They can pick up a jungler, pick up something that can maybe help them deal with the Zeri in lane, because she's not got the greatest laning phase due to her short range.
Yeah, and Blue Bean actually plays a lot of it for AaB. Like, it's one of his most played champions when I was doing all my research on these teams. That's one of his favorite champions. They just ban that away and then give open B1 Zeri over to Munster. That's just crazy. The fact is, the other one of the most insane other champions at the moment is this Gwen and the Lulu pickup. Like, Yuumi could have been technically better depending on the assets and the kind of avenue you want to go. Or if you subscribe to a certain religion, you can go for Sona instead. But Lulu, always great at kind of protecting the Zeri, protecting the carry, and just boosting and bolstering. Why not just go into crazy method? That's where they're going. AaB, what's your response going to be, and what are you thinking, Hitrain?
You mentioned it earlier. I genuinely think Camille is like a really good pickup here.
Going into
the Gwen, I'm not entirely 100% sure on that, but that was not the pick. Ribéry, maybe there's a world where like he's just like a Giga Smurf on this champion, but I don't see it being the one. I would much rather the Camille. You can lock the Zeri in place. Obviously, it's still a Lulu you got to deal with, and that is a problem in its own right. But if you can lock them in place in the Hextech Ultimatum, makes it really easy for Tun to come in on the Leona, continue the CC chain onto that Zeri, and blow them up. But I guess on the flip side, yes, there's a Lulu to keep her alive, so maybe they don't kill her in the burst. And even if they commit everything to kill the Zeri, you've now got a Gwen. If this Gwen isn't heavily handicapped in the laning phase, once you've got that Nashers and the Riftmaker, that champion can run in its own right. So there's a great damage spread right now on the side of Munster Rugby. Over on AaB, yes, you have the Samira. Yes, you have the Victor. Victor, I think, very consistent in the damage he does. I'm so not familiar with how good Samira is in her current state. So I'm going to throw this to you. What are you making of the Samira pick? Is it going to do enough damage? Is it going to mix up the damage profile enough for them?
I mean, hopefully. Ribéry, like, this is not something I was expecting hugely. Like, some of their top champions are Jinx, Jhin, Ashe, meta good champions, high tier champions which people will openly first round pick. Samira, totally fine in the metagame. By the way, completely fine. Not top of the top. Not great. Their damage profile is completely fine, but they don't have great itemization. It's an awkward path you sometimes have to take, especially against something like a Zeri, which is just so open to just going 2 items, I kill everything on this rift. Like, I just can hit that item spike. Samira doesn't quite hit that. Samira's like 3 I what the... Okay, and a fiddle?
So
at this point, why not?
I have a kind of theory on League of Legends, and I don't think it's a bad one. If you are a team who's lower in the rankings, you're playing versus a team like Munster. This is a great example. AaB, bottom of the standings, Munster, top of the standings. Munster have very much cemented themselves so far in the tournament as being one of the top teams in the league.
Yes.
Whipping out some, I wouldn't say cheese, but some creative picks, some picks that would change up the play style. Because Munster are probably not used to playing into the likes of a Fiddlesticks in a long time. Fiddlesticks has great synergy with what the rest of the team are, apart from maybe the Samira, but even so, you've got a lot to work with on that front. You've got the Chaos Storm, the Gravity Field, you know, things that he can jump into. The owner can back him up and keep him in the Crow Storm long enough. I am loving this answer, though. If that Fiddles jumps in, you get the Magic Shield on whoever you need to from the Galio, from his ultimate. He can really turn these plays, and the big one is the Galio Jarvan. Absolutely disgusting combo. Someone gets pinned in place, and it is going to be really, really rough for them. The Aatrox for Gunkus in the top lane.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Do the Camille. At least take the Camille.
Okay, I thought that was locked in. I was like, I was about to ask you, how does this lane go? I'm now going to ask you, how does this lane go?
Not great. Not great at all. Like, honestly, you have dueling pressure, right? So the Aatrox kind of philosophy still stands. The problem is, Gwen is immune for those team fights. When that Fiddlesticks tries to come up and try and hit onto top of them, it's going to be really awkward, whereas J4 is so cookie cutter. You could give it to the Silver Scrub and they could probably figure it out, right? Like, there is simplicity in the side of Munster, which you just look at and just go, I understand how they're trying to do this. They can play side lane with the Gwen, and they can also play 4-1. They can play 5v5 very cleanly. They've got the Galios you've already mentioned, which is fantastic, either coming on top of the Zeri if she happens to need protection to kind of dissuade people from coming into them, whereas this Gwen just gets go head first, as well as the Jarvan to set up for her, maybe. So they have a lot of options. AaB, you guys need to figure out some crazy strategies or some cheese strats, which is what you were kind of hinting towards and alluding towards earlier, where if you just hit your opponents with some less meta typical stuff, that's where you can find avenues into the game. And I think that's an option for them in this one, because it doesn't look awful. Like, on paper, those champions are still fine, just not so meta.
I think the way to really word it, and the term that gets thrown around so much, especially in the last couple of years, is ease of execution.
Yeah.
Munster, it's very simple to understand what that team does. Jarvan and Galio start the fight. Zeri gets backed up by the Lulu. Gwen can be a tidy up, or you know, or just a side lane nuisance. It's very simple to write what that team does. On the side of AaB, yeah, you got the Solar Flare. Yeah, you got the Crow Storm to kind of, you know, jump in, and there's a lot of burst, and you can
lovely if you can get it work.
Angles and things like that. But it's very much, they need to execute these fights very well, and there's not as much of a margin for error versus what I think Munster have afforded themselves. Because if someone makes a mistake, Galio can back them up. Jarvan can slide in. They've got the Lulu to correct any mistakes as well. There's lots of things that can kind of, you know, make up for getting caught out. If you do get caught out by this Fiddles on your own, somebody could come in real quick and turn this around. So I think, you know, all eyes on AaB to get this this game going in the right way for them. But we are onto the Rift for our first game of Day 7 here at Div 2. Munster, I don't even want to say I love what they got. I just think they've got a good comp. This is just a very smart draft by them.
I mean, Munster have very much got a comp that we would assume we would typically see in almost any kind of division level of play, relatively speaking, right? Like, there is a lot of standard meta picks here. There is comfort in the meta. Looking across also all of this, we've got Predator Galio, which I absolutely adore, because this is the idea that we want for this kind of comp for Munster. They want to be able to get around the map as effectively as possible as a unit. The fact that Stumpy has also gone for this Ignite TP, they're looking to duel. Whereas if you look for Gunks in the top lane, Flash Ignite, Flash Teleport, none of that Ignite. There's obviously, you get to do this with Gwen because she has her dash. She has so much more flexibility. It does mean she's going to be able to help win out in this 1v1, actually. And especially if they get a gank from Jarvan, it's going to be really easy. The avenue pass for this Fiddlestick is going to be really awkward because you're already going to see Fiddlesticks is going to have a great clear speed. The problem is they're great at matching that as a J4. J4 has a great early clear speed, so it's not even going to be a huge benefit that typically solo queue Fiddlesticks would get.
Yeah, absolutely. Curious to see, keep our eyes on the mid as well, because I think the mid laners are going to be very much, setting the tone for these junglers.
Yeah.
Galio typically, especially in the early levels, will get a pretty solid kind of lane presence thanks to the Colossal Smash being on such a short cooldown.
No way. 3?
The rest of the damage. Is Stumpy going to 1v1 Gunkus at level 1?
He's got
I
Conqueror
don't think
already.
he is. He got the Conqueror, but Gunkus is able to just about escape with his life, but had to burn a lot there. Does still have to sustain from those Darkened Blades.
And did go Doran's Shield first item, so an important first item to actually kind of fend off, whereas Doran's Blade, as you already mentioned, for Gwen, looking for the aggression. These players already understand how the basic wave control is going to be working and kind of lane state is going to be set up. Already early invade, they had to ward their own jungle because they knew this was going to happen and Fiddle's going to come and inspect.
Yeah, he's looking for it.
He's got
See
help.
if Gunkus has actually moved over as well, and Gabosh needs to be very careful, able to slide out just before the gravity field props on him.
But Blue Ben is missing a wave already. Like, this is one of the things we already talked about, and now they're getting fended off. The tower's just going to take away that experience, and these early levels are going to be so important to actually emphasize this, because look at this, Stumpy has stayed top as well. The same things are happening in 2 lanes, and AaB are already being pulled apart in 3 minutes in.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a suboptimal play just by a casual invade, but didn't even actually... Okay, no, don't worry. Gabosh was able to get.
He's still doing it. He
was able to get a couple of chickens, and
we know which of
now
these
just getting completely zoned out. They know this is going on thanks to the effigy. But Chimera, this is what I was talking about. Galio can shove so much harder than Victor early, and he can just back up Gabosh so easily as well. Zarox is trying to see if he can steal it away, but Sweeper reveals that Zarox has absolutely no information of this red buff. Stumpy may even slide over the wall here with Gabosh to try and stop Zarox. He's in trouble. He's used the fear. He's found the knock-up, and the flash is going to get used. AaB's jungler is getting absolutely bullied at the start of this game. As Stumpy and Gungus have a little bit of a scrap here, 1 versus 1. But Stumpy should be able to slide out.
Yeah. Gunkus even actually got level 4 through some of the camps that actually got killed when they actually went around to help Fiddlesticks actually getting this through. But as you've already mentioned, this Galio is just causing so many issues for the mid lane, and it's one of those reasons that this lane state has gone to a place where, oh, stun, Zayna played.
Yeah, they are looking for it. Merps is going to slide away for the moment. Baloo, though, they get a little bit of damage. Throws the exhaust down to Ribery, who cleanses it, jumps in, gets himself the sweep as Merps finds himself first blood. Tun trying to find himself a bit of a follow-up, but Baloo's survive, and it's a double kill for Merps.
And that is devastating. You weren't going to be getting bot lane help anytime soon from your jungler, AaB, and now Ribeye turn. It's gone from bad to worst. Also, that's Azeri getting both of those kills as well. None of them went over to the Lulu, so this is just going to go from one place where Munster are already happening to the next level. They're going to be able to back now. They've pushed the wave in. They can reset, get those first items, and actually be the first ones backing of their whole team, which is crazy to say when this J4 has been invading so much. He hasn't even done his red side quadrant. He hasn't even done his bot side yet. He doesn't have the opportunity because he's just caused so many issues for the side of AaB already.
It's been, it's like the Jarvan actually hasn't done anything as far as his KDA is concerned, but just the impact he's had, the fact that he's put this Fiddlesticks behind, the fact that now Zarox doesn't feel safe in his own jungle, the mid lane priority that Chimera is able to afford is just making Blue Ben's life near impossible. He's getting bullied around so hard, and this is what you see. The Winds of War into Colossal Smash. Backline is melted. There's nothing you can do about that.
And what's even better for them is now they get to back after shoving that wave in. They've got 6, so now they've got AoE control of the whole map. Blue Ben has already had to back and teleport back to the base, so in this scenario, Chimera actually doesn't have to TP, chooses to, because it's not going to be a cannon wave, so it's going to be a very quick way for them to actually come back on. But because of this, they can come back, clear the wave. They've got more items. Predator boots fully completed. They're going to be zipping around and doing ganks wherever they feel they're going to have an opportunity to do so.
Oh, man. I love playing into Gallagher.
God, it's so fun, isn't it?
It's very oppressive. Stumpy actually is throwing down the needlework. He's been feared. He's actually going to go very, very low. Trying to survive, trying to find the snipe. Can't land that needlework, but somehow Stumpy turns it around. 1 versus 2, securing himself a kill.
That's that blasting wand, and Boots also coming through. Weirdly enough, getting out of Oh, what was the fiddlesticks heal up? Being able to get out of that slightly quickly to then rotate back around with the blasting one, with the empowered Q coming through. So much damage just comes out of Gwen, and you just don't expect it, especially with
Oh
Conqueror,
no.
but they're coming for more.
Gunkus, you're in a world of hurt. Stumpy will
Oh,
go down there as Gunkus finds the kill. Triumph heals him up.
red
Got
buff.
the Darkened Blade for a bit more of a heal, but the red buff is burning, and Gunkus can't do anything. Gabash able to find the kill.
Bit sad that obviously they did have to trade, but thankfully no shutdown gold going anywhere, so Gunkus doesn't get extra strong. And the wave state was actually left pushing into Munster, so perfect scenario for Stumpy to be able to come back into the lane and then being able to come around. Oh,
Have a look at the replay. This is the top lane Stumpy 1 versus 2. He should have died, but he just wouldn't go down.
no, he's able to dash out. Actually, just run straight through it. I thought he had jumped out, but no. Huge damage coming through. He'd already used the Ignite very early on onto that Fiddlesticks to prevent all of the healing, so that's where that Ignite had gone, sadly. So if they maybe had it around, maybe Gunkus wouldn't have been able to get the 1v2, 2-second, 2 auto attack hit. Who knows? I don't know. Not me. I'm not that smart. I can't do maths on the fly of League of Legends maths. Can you, Hitbrain? No one can.
I can't do regular maths, mate. To be
Oh,
honest with you.
mate. I got my GCSE and I dropped it.
I mean, it took me a while to get my GCSE. I'll be real with you.
Ah, mate,
Maths
don't
was
blame
not
you.
my strong spot.
Oh,
Stumpy, he's okay.
Stumpy struggled with this math as well, maybe, because he wasn't expecting Gunks to come out with so much damage, but that's what happens when you send an Aatrox back and they get another item. They actually get an upgrade.
Seeing Ribery is being heavily shoved in, those 2 kills that's been picked up by Merbs is starting to cost them pretty heavily. Nice little poly actually onto Ribery just to stop him following up onto Blue there. But they do look to be bringing through their jungler. And look at his level. He's got that Crow Storm and he's charging it up. Over the wall they go. And in they jump. It's an easy kill for Ribery. Merbs is able to stay alive at the moment. He has got the ultimate, so he's done a fair amount of damage. But that short range coming in real hard there for Merbs. Can't follow up for anything else.
Yeah, I feel like if AaB played a little bit more aggressively there, it could have gone from pretty good for them to pretty bad for them very quickly. Zeri is one of those champions who can very, very dynamically turn the idea of a team fight where it looks like it's a 4v2. In actuality, Zeri doesn't make it like that.
Oh, it's a bait, it's a bait, it's a bait! The flash comes in, the Cataclysm for the dunk, and Merbs finds his 3rd kill. Gabash is out as well. Beautiful execution from Munster in the bot lane.
Yeah, and Gabush basically came along, hook, line, and sinker set up beautifully for them. They're able to execute that even better. So much gold now over onto spot lane, and not something we've mentioned, but a 4k gold lead, by the way, for Munster. Just passively through this, and Stumpy's causing issues.
Growing. Slashes, just needs an auto to reset that needlework. Hasn't actually got it reset in time, so isn't going to be able to do too much more. Now Gunkus actually healing up a lot there. The Triumph is prompting. Stumpy may have done miss maths once again. Snip, snip, and down goes Gunkus. Stumpy just about pulling off the 1v1. Meanwhile, on the bottom side of the map, the dragon is secured. And Munster, that gold lead you were talking about, has grown even more. 4,000 gold separates these 2 teams.
Yikes, this is going in one direction very heavily. And it all started very early on from that jungle invade that Gabash did onto Xerox in their red side. Ever since then, it's been just causing one to back to back to back issues. And I mean, what could AaB have done in this scenario any differently? I'm very interested. God, Stumpy, you were so low. Didn't even take a turret shot there. Coming around. Oh, just cookie cutter. Early Ignite, which I really love just before the ultimate actually gets to do its whole job. Obviously, not ideal scenario coming through here, but hey, still able to clean up. And Gwen healing is still also as strong as Aatrox healing, apparently. So that's
I mean, Conqueror Gwen do some pretty bonkers damage, I guess. Stumpy, very, very strong now. Got the plated steel caps, as we call them nowadays. Still ninja tabby to me. Got that blasting one, got the amp tone. So building towards the Rift Maker as the first item.
Obviously, Gore Drinker is going to be the first one, I imagine, for Gabras. So it's going to be interesting to see how these 2 top laners kind of develop on through the mid-game point over to the late game. First, they need to get to the mid-game, and it's going to favor one of these top laners a lot more than the other, especially when it comes to the 5v5 team fights.
Oh, Zorax, you are going down, my friend. He tries to jump away, but Baloo, I think you've earned that one, to be honest, mate.
Yeah, I think he did, but I mean, they still did try to give it over to Mibs, but they're still looking for more. Like, they're causing issues, and look at this TP from Blue Ben.
That's huge. They just threatened the dive, didn't need to even attempt it. Didn't lose a single bit of health.
And
Mervs
Chimera hasn't used his ultimate yet as well. Like, there are so many small things playing. Oh my god, Stumpy.
Can these top laners stop fighting for 2 seconds?
I feel like I'm having to fight to get airtime because everyone keeps fighting, mate.
You are really not going to get to talk. Blue Ben, he's not even going to get to play. He goes down. Gabosh able to find the kill. Nice and easy.
It's coming in. One team keeps dying and sees a grey screen. The other ones keep seeing colors. It's going from bad to worse. And AaB, you had an interesting draft, a unique draft, some would say. Didn't work out in the early game, and it's gone awful into this mid lane because what else could they have done? Everything just keeps going bad and bad and bad. And oh my god, what are you gonna do here?
He's taunted. He's down. There's no way he survives this. Chimera will chase him down, waiting for that ultimate to come back up. Sorry, the E to come back up. Just gets with the Winds of War instead. Stumpy did teleport in though.
Just what is going on as we come in for this top lane? It's just these 2v2s top that they're constantly finding, and Stumpy always, so far throughout this game, has always had the upper hand, even when it looked like it was going to be okay for Gabronx. Just never had the opportunity because his jungler just wasn't there that one time they needed him.
He actually won that fight when he missed a full charge snip on a minion wave.
That's rough.
That is painful for Gungus, unfortunately.
Well, and if you just start looking at those items, fully completed out for multiple members now over on the side of Munster. Zeri's got that Trinity Force, which you alluded to in the pick and ban phase. I mean, not Bloodthirst, a Gore Drinker coming out now for Jarvan, so everything's just going to go accelerated now. And look at this damage!
He can't survive. He's going to try and sustain, but Mervs 4-0 on the Zeri. Triforce, Tiamat, way too much damage, and going to cash in on a bunch of plates here. Probably won't be able to find this final one in time, although actually, yeah, will.
Yeah, I mean, Zeri just does too much damage now.
Did she take the tower? I mean, you got Sheen. Oh,
easy.
That is tragic. Plates and all.
And I believe that's now 10 plates or some amount of that. Oh my god!
Well, massive fights breaking out. Here comes the Galio. Not going to find the knock-up, but the Cataclysm onto free. The flash in. Xarox uses the stopwatch to go golden, but he will lose his life trying to heal up, but the poly is too big, and Stumpy sliding in with the needlework to secure that one. A double kill for Gabosh, and a complete slaughter in the mid lane for Munster.
I don't even know what to say. They just wanted to try and fend out their red top side. Like, you can't even blame AaB at some point. Munster have to back. They assume, okay, it must safe now. They have been all over the map. We've got to find an option in. We've got to start warding our jungle. 3 members just happen to be that. Gorgeous Cataclysm, as you mentioned, by Gabrosh. Like, game changed it. All 3 of them in there. Couldn't do anything. And what I loved about it is Chimera actually kind of baited a little bit, ulted backwards, and then they immediately decided to go back in the moment that AaB thought they actually had the turning power. Just bait and switch. Bait them and outsmart them. Munster have done that at almost every turn, it feels like.
Oh, Rugby. I think you might be a little bit hurt, although not too many people are coming through. So shield by proc. Chimera just doing a lot of damage himself. Gabosh able to secure the 2nd dragon for the team. We'll see what soul we're getting. Going to be a mountain soul in this game.
So rough for AaB to have any form of comeback potential. That's the last one they probably want to see, because if Munster secure it, it pretty much shores up this game. Like, it just doesn't matter. AaB will never have enough damage to make it through these champions. And if you look at the champions that build, Gwen builds some armor, Jarvan builds armor, Galio builds armor. When I'm saying armor, ladies and gentlemen, I mean armor and magic resist. It's both, all right? Just humor me for a second.
Resistances is probably the word you were looking for.
Well, one of us has been a long-time DM, I think, and the other of us has just started on their career. So anyway, like, how are they meant to come through this? They needed like an Infernal Drake, or maybe Ocean would have been really good for the side of AaB. Like, yeah,
I'm gonna raise you this.
Go on.
Souls are relevant for AaB. They are 11,000 gold down at 16 minutes.
I mean, like, we're at this point,
I don't think any soul could have been good for them. It's really, really rough. We'll have a look at the replay, and then I want to have a look at the individual gold, because man, the gold leads have got the amount of gold Merv's got is going to be absolutely massive.
And Stumpy as well. Like,
Stumpy as well, yeah.
Jeez.
Can we have a look at the gold? There it is. All right, so yeah, 9,400 gold earned by Merbs versus Ribery, who has got 5,000 gold this game. We're seeing a little bit more action, but I think Zorix is going to be okay. Look at that top lane as well. 2,000 gold lead for Stumpy. It just feels insurmountable. There's a 2-level lead on Merbs over Ribery. There's a 1-level lead in the top lane. There's a, I mean, the mid are equal, but there's still a gold lead for Chimera.
Yeah, and sadly, the things that did work for AaB with some of their oh no, Gunks.
He stopped it, but he got Cataclysm. He paid the price. Here comes the Galio. Gonna land it onto Zorix. He ulted into his own demise. Stumpy will rip him apart, but answer the price himself. Gunga's able to find one, but here comes the cavalry. Merbs trying to close that gap. Can't get in range. Has to be a little careful from Tun and Blue Ben, because they do have a little bit of damage to work with, and Merbs should just be able to jump away to safety.
And the things that have worked for AaB in the past haven't come out in this game. The opportunities haven't worked for it. And Munster, yes, they lost some of their members. Yes, they lost a little bit. But the thing is, it's not enough of a swing, and they still got small edges anyway. They trade these advantages they've got. And they're so far ahead, as we've mentioned. They're like, well, they're actually 12k ahead, as you said. So
yeah,
what can AaB do? Like, when you're this far down at 80 minutes in, they've got a gold lead of 1k for almost every minute of this game does Munster have. And it's only going to get worse because, remember, they've been taking the enemy AaB's jungle from minute 2. And ever since then, they've been pushing forward.
I think I'm just going to quote Jamada. The only way out of this game is turn to religion. Like, I don't see a window where AaB can do anything here. Maybe if this game goes on for like another 40 minutes and they all hit max build, well, there's a world, but even then, max build, Zeri with a Lulu, I just don't know if they've got that fight in them. Realistically, this would have to be the throw of a century from Munster.
Let's look up to a higher power, because we have to be unbiased casters, and AaB, let's find that higher power. Gabrush says no, though.
They're going to find it as Gungus is pinned in place. Here comes Merbs. Knock up into a kill, into a second, just like that. Munster secure their 20th kill. They've got more than a kill a minute right now, and they're chasing Tun back into the base.
And they're just going to keep pushing. Waves here, as you mentioned, they're now doing, why not, 1-2-2, because they are that far ahead. Multiple members of their team are able to do it. They're now going to 1-1-3, and they can just keep pushing. They're having all the waves crash. Look, they're delicately trying to have it so multiple waves are going to crash and that they can have options to go around it. AaB, what's your response to this?
Well, apparently it's get Chimera rooted up. They did actually Justice Punch into his face. I thought that was a moment where they were going to go for that. But in they go with the flash coming out from Blue Ben to make sure he gets away to safety. Solar Flare is going to miss, only just slowing Blue. As Zorix also ults in. Here comes the Galio turnaround, though, into the gravity field. He's going to get himself stunned up, but Stumpy's onto that backline of Ribery, getting absolutely ripped apart here by the needlework. And they're going to take themselves 2 kills, make it 3. A double kill for Stumpy. Blue Ben's going to get run down, and snip. A haircut will trim a 3rd member down. A 3rd kill for Stumpy. And Ribery can't even stand on his fountain for safety, as Munster will chase him to the very corners of the map. The tower number 1, guarding the Nexus, will fall. The next one will go down as well. And Ribery is going to have to pull off a bloody miracle to save this one. But miracles aren't on the books for him today. 20 minutes on the clock. 25 kills on the board. Munster Rugby Gaming slaughter AaB.
And what a defining performance from them. An amazing, impressive understanding on the lane state, the way they have to play this game from Munster. And AaB, they had an opportunity. They had an idea. The issue was Munster knew how to tackle it from minute number 1. And the one shining light for their pick and ban phase, as you alluded to at the very beginning, was that cheese idea, the strategy of bringing something out they're not used to. Clearly, Munster are used to almost everything now.
Yeah, I mean, that just looked like a top team versus a bottom team, and that's exactly what that was. It was,
yeah.
It was a very one-sided affair from Munster, and they completely ran over AaB. So AaB, back to the drawing board. They obviously, like we said at the beginning of the day, though, everything's still very close. Playoffs aren't made for anybody right now. Munster getting this win does accelerate them even further ahead of the rest of the pack, but At the end of the day, Munster are the top team. As long as they start to win against some of these other teams still, there's a very, very good chance for AaB to make a recovery and maybe look for a little bit of revenge on that front. Anyway, we are going to throw to a very quick break, and when we're back, we'll have some interviews after that game, so we'll see you in a moment.